His entrepreneur, his entrepreneurial journey started with Rebel Finance, a fintech venture which is scaled to a $10 million enterprise. He continued his journey with Gradely, which is an edtech venture focusing on personalized learning resources and online tutoring for children. As co-founder and CEO of Gradely, Boye is committed to use Gradely to improve student learning outcome across K-12 schools in Africa. Boye also played a key role in launching the country's first locally accredited online degree programs, impacting over 5,000 students. So you can see why Boye is the right man for this topic we have on the top for this session. I believe if you stay put to the end of this session, you'll find it rewarding and beneficial for your business and your organization. As we have customization that allows you to customize your platform, your academy, and also your products. It also allows you to manage your costs. You can manage your costs with multiple costs. You also have pre-installed templates, and of course, assign certificates once you've created your topic. Also, security and data. One thing is that we value the data and the security of our users and our clients, and we ensure that once we jump on it now, we are compliant with all relevant data protection laws and services, and ensure that your data, your all your stuff are safe with Late-Now. And of course, you can customize your platform, you can manage your courses, report and analytics, creation of certificates, and assigning of certificates. And one very important thing we have in Late-Now is our EdTech community of founders. So Late-Now community, the vision is to create a vibrant ecosystem where professionals from all across corners of the EdTech world can come together, learn, grow, and innovate. So as you're an EdTech founder, we employ you to join the Late-Now EdTech community, join us and ensure that join us Late-Now. We'll drop the link in the comment box and join Late-Now, and we believe you'll have the rewarding time with us here on Late-Now. So welcome everyone. Thank you for joining. I believe that will be it for me at the moment. I'll hand it over to our facilitator for today, Boye Shinaga, co-founder and CEO of Gradely, as he takes us on the topic, strategies for growth in Nigeria's price-sensitive environment. Hi Boye, can you hear me? Welcome to the floor, and thank you for joining us today.
Yes, hi. Thank you for the introduction. Hello, everyone. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, you can hear you, Boye.
Okay, so I'm hoping that we have a very interactive question and answer, but I just want to lay the foundation of the topic and do a little bit of an intro, right? And help everyone understand like the backdrop to think about this issue. Because I've been hearing a lot of why I thought this topic was very interesting is that's actually what everybody has been coming to me about and saying, hey, how are you even doing it? There's no market, people are price sensitive, and all these other issues with the market. And I always believe that you have to revert back to the foundation in order to be able to solve a problem. Some people call it first principles thinking. So you figure it out from first principles. So you ask yourself what is true and what is not from the first principle, like, and then once you go through the first principles, then we can figure out specifically how to solve that problem. So it is not going to be, this class is not going to be a sales class or a marketing class. We're not going to be talking about how do you add to your funnel or how do you convert. It's really more than that. Like what's really driving poor conversion or what's driving poor uptake or adoption is a little bit deeper than the idea that they're not calling enough, they're not selling enough, they're not marketing enough. It's more than that. And so let's talk about what it could be. So how I intend to address this topic. But before I go, let me just say a little bit about myself. I have worked in venture capital space. I've also worked in corporate environment, and I'm a two-time founder. So my last startup was a fintech, and my current startup is an edtech. And so yeah, for those of you who are edtech founders in the house, you know, we're in the brotherhood. So let me just say a little bit. My experience as venture partner, which was $100 million fund that was investing across Africa. I was essentially, as a venture partner, was supposed to aggregate all of the support that we had in-house to help startup founders get to product market fit and to scale, right? And in Venture Garden Group, I launched the first online degree program, worked with a team of about 30 people to put Nigeria's first degree program online. So we recorded lecturers, we put their videos on the platform, encouraged them to build PowerPoint, we use some techniques of instructional design. We put all of that together in a hardware tablet and then started selling. And we're the first that NUC gave approval for. But now, you know, everybody knows that there are several other universities. We worked at Ahmadu Bello University and Buffalo Law University. A little bit about Ribi. Ribi was, I eventually exited Ribi, but Ribi helped about 3 million Nigerians save. So we created a digital savings and investment system for cooperatives and trade unions. And Gradely is it's an online tutoring platform for primary and secondary school students across the world. We are in 8 countries right now. And we use technology to deliver mastery learning. So we adapt learning materials and tutoring to solve gaps that we identify for every child. So that's a little bit about myself. Just wanted to remind you who's speaking to you. But let's get into the root of the matter. Now, I think one thing I say, we're going back to the foundation. So it's not enough to say, you know, things are hard, people are not coming, there are no customers, you know, we build this product. We need to understand what kind of business we're in. Are we in a business where, because some people's frustration is the type of business. So if you're building a business where, like, I just want to make 100 million a year, right? I don't want to necessarily be the biggest or the baddest. That's a lifestyle business, and you want to be able to understand that that's your business, that's your type of business. You're not necessarily trying to struggle to fundraise or struggle to be a startup in that sense. And so there's a difference between a startup and a lifestyle business, and a little bit of that difference is, for a lifestyle business, market share does not matter. Like, you don't have to dominate the market. You just have to be a player and take your part of the market. So if you're selling akara on the roadside, you're selling shoes in Alaba, you know, or in Lagos Island, or you are selling anything, software, enterprise, somebody selling cybersecurity to banks, you can actually be a lifestyle business. And your goal as a lifestyle business is to say, hey, how much can I earn for myself? And so it's you versus that earning. It's not for you to start stressing about, these people raise $10 million. When will I raise my own $10 million? It's not really like that. When people get backed by VC, usually it's because they're trying to grow really fast and dominate a space because there's what's happening in those spaces is that this is usually winner takes all in startup spaces. So if you dominate a specific space, winner might, like in Google or in ChatGPT, for example, the winner of that space will make it difficult for anybody else to play in that space. So when Google dominated search, you know, there was Bing and there was nobody else. It was really difficult. And Bing was a far second, right? So there are businesses like that, and those are startups. So figure out whether you're a startup or a lifestyle business, because it will matter. And secondly, figure out what your company's values are, right? So before you start talking about, should we increase price, should we reduce price, should we focus on another market, should we change? Figure out why you are doing what you're doing. What are you trying to do? Like, what are you trying to do? Because is the market preventing you from doing what you're trying to do? Or are you trying to just make money anyhow? So you're not trying to do anything particular. You don't have any core ideology. You don't have any way you want to change the world. Because truly, the world changes. People change the world. People change the direction of the world. But it's people of vision and people of purpose that do that. So you need to figure out what is it that you're trying to do. Because it doesn't matter what your product is. It can be something else. If the value remains the same, if your purpose is the same, you can build it in any other way. For example, if your value is invention, your goal is to invent. Your goal is not to make that LMS sell. That's not your goal. Your goal is to continue to create environments in which you can invent, because invention is your core watchword. So that's what values, the role they play. And then there's core competence. Now, I'm saying all this because, like I said, we're going back to square one. We're going back to basics. Before you start to convert free users, before you start to figure out strategies to, get customers, all these things help you to know the frame or the lens in which you are looking at the market. So what's your core competence? What are you really, really good at? The fact that you can build school management software does not mean that you should build school management software. The fact that you already built school management software does not mean that you have to die there, to use the colloquial phrase. You don't have to die there, right? You have to figure out software. Are you really good at software? Right? Are you really good at building software? Or are you really good at doing marketing? Or are you really good at sales, enterprise sales? You want to leverage those strengths and use those strengths as your way to espouse values and to achieve your business goals. So those are some things you need to ask yourself as you start to think about, why is the market so price sensitive? What can I do about it? Once you sorted out these top 3 things, then we can move further to some of the things that affect your market, right? Once you figure out your values, your core competence, the question then is, what is your value proposition? So what's your value proposition helps you to understand the market. I think one thing about the edtech market is that it changes a lot and dynamics, and it changes because globally, capabilities that have impact in education change a lot. Like once AI came, guess one area that affected? Education. People can now search ChatGPT for their assignment. All the guys that were doing homework help, all the software people that are selling homework help started struggling with business. In fact, one of them that was a public company, Chegg in the US, their shares just crashed because ChatGPT can solve problem of homework, right? So because edtech market changes so fast, you have to actually ask yourself this question. Now, why should customers choose you over the competition? Why you? Why your product? And be very aware of your competition is not just local. The competition is international. When I was in school management or learning management business, and I would go to schools and talk to them, they would tell me about Google Classroom that nobody invented here, nobody came up with here. They came up with it many years ago in the US. And that's what they're telling me, that's the alternative to what I have. So like, competition is global. So you need to be able to say, for example, I remember then we're saying here, we have local content. These guys don't have. Now, if that's something that they value, maybe it can, shift them. So for example, we sold to, a couple of schools, and that change was the fact that we had local content, local support, local currency that made a difference in that market. So you want to figure out what is your value proposition and what's your competitive space and how do you compare with the rest of the competition. Then number 5, what's your business model? Now, business model is a whole training on its own, but I used to say that everything go back to first principles. In business model, your business model is just basically how do you make profit? That they're the factors that affect profit, right? And the equation for every business is profit equal to selling price times volume minus cost price times volume. So selling price minus cost price, all in bracket volume. That is the business model. So you want to figure out, do I make money on every sale at scale? Some people can make money now when it's 10 customers, but when it's 100, they're not making money. It's funny, like the money disappeared, right? And so you want to figure out what's your business model? How do you make money from this thing? How many people do you have? How many people do you need? For example, one of Grace Group are 10,000 tutoring customers globally, because that gets us $1 million a month. And we can see a pathway to that. We can see the things that will trigger that. So, and we know what our margin will be at that point. So that's like our big goal in the company is 10,000 students, 10,000 paying global students. By the way, that's different from Nigerians. We have thousands of Nigerian students. The money they are paying is very small. We'll come back to that, I'm sure. Like, So the challenge in Nigeria is that I think an average person in Nigeria pays us through telco, they pay us like $10 a year. Directly, it pay us like $40 a year for content. And for tutoring, maybe about $200, $300 a year. But abroad, where we also sell, the customer is paying us $1,000 a year, $1,200 a year, $1,500 a year. So like that's our number. So that number is so different from $10, right? From $5 to $10. So we know our business model. We know where the money is coming from. We know how to put in our resources. So business model is a whole topic to unpack, but you have to know your business model. How do you make money? Sometimes you have to give something for free. So that's the concept of free users, right? But the concept of free users is not that it's free. It's so valuable that when they use it for free, a good amount of them will convert to pay. So you have that business model has to be correct. Like Duolingo is free, but it's valuable. It's valuable enough for some people to pay for it. But funny thing is that majority of people in Nigeria don't pay for Duolingo. Duolingo is being paid for mostly in the US, Europe, and so on. And in Africa, very little bit. Let's talk about market opportunity. People have too much trouble saying there are 200 million Nigerians. No, we don't know how many of those numbers cows. And we don't know how many of those numbers don't even have purchasing power. Or we know how many of those numbers don't have purchasing power. Because if you flip it, the number of real Nigerians that spend anything significant in a month on something that's not consumable, it's not food, it's a very small number. And so that number is your real number. And if you're dealing in small market sizes, be very careful because those are pitfalls for failure. If your market size is, by the time you really realistic calculate it, there are only 100,000 people in this whole country that can buy it. And you need to sell to 10% of them. You're already about to fail. Because to get 10% of that 100,000 people can be so hard. Unless, for example, you are doing a high margin business where you don't even need 10%. Like I say, you say you have to get 10% of the 100,000, you're most likely going to fail. But if you do 1% and you're still going to be very successful, then you have something. So you have to understand what your market is, what's your addressable market, right? And what are the established and emerging markets. So that's very, very important. So it's from that basis that you now move to the third leg, and that's the last leg here, which is demand. Now, people who talk about free products and say it's not converting, the question is that, is the free product even being used? Is there a high engagement on that free product? If you are realistic and you are, you're not using rose-colored lenses to look at the problem, most people that don't convert from free to paid, their free package is not being used, is not being properly engaged in the first place. So when you are talking about conversion, does not exist because your free product is not even selling. That's even the core problem. It's not that it's not converting, it's that nobody's using the free product in the first place. So you need to measure how strong the demand is by how much engagement you're getting, right? And then what are the factors that affect that demand? Because everybody knows that, for example, regulation can drive demand, right? One of the things I propose to the government is create 100 billion naira education tech fund so that public schools can use tech. And you see everybody become people, you see a lot of innovation. You see a great market created. State government schools don't pay for anything. Federal government schools barely pay for anything. That's almost 70% of the K-12 market. Private schools can be a disaster because there are so many different kinds and they don't fit into one market category. So you need to understand what affects your demand and where your demand can be. We're in a global marketplace, so you can sell anywhere in the world. So you have to figure out things that affect that sales. Number 8 is distribution. Now, it's one thing to, I know everybody's trying in social media. All of us are trying. You know, people are posting things, gathering followers, getting likes. Um, and social media is definitely a very good distribution. But you have to ask yourself, is the best distribution for you? The best distribution is distribution that is predictable. You know, so you want to get your distribution game to the point where you can predict that if I invest this much in distribution to get me this much. You want to be able to put yourself in front of everybody. One way to do that has always been strategic partnerships, right? So putting yourself in front of everybody by partnering someone that has access to everybody. And it's still going to be a way, like people use influencers, people use government, people use, you know, all kinds of middlemen that help you to get there. But you have to be, I feel like in edtech, you need to be very creative. You have all these chicken republics, all these cold stones, but children go there every day, but nobody is there. There's no edtech there. Why not? So that
Hi, boy, are you still with us?
not buying your online degree program. So you need to figure out distribution a little bit more. And then lastly is, I think I mentioned competition before. So I'll pause here. Like I said, I didn't want to talk too much, but I'll just highlight this. This is something that we built out together in Founders Factory Africa. It's found the traction framework. And it basically says how to get to the point where you have product market fit. And product market fit is the point where you can tell that you are going to be successful. Like you're already getting so much demand. People are pulling you and saying, I want some of what you have. Can you guys still hear me? Let me know if you can hear me. I want to see some activity.
I can hear you.
Okay, great. So like I said, thank you very much. Just wanted to confirm. So yes, the traction framework is divided into multiple steps. Usually start at the place of customer value, where you validate that there's a problem to be solved. You figure out the market size, you find your customers, who they are and things like that, figure out who they might be. And then you move to prototyping, you do something quickly, you find that are willing customers, and then you move to core product value, where you found people that are willing to use your prototype. And then you come and then you get to product-led growth, which is, you know, the engine that you can now use, and that's the distribution I'm talking about, to achieve predictable growth through channels. And then you figure out how many of these people are retained on the product. And then you get to a product market fit where a good number of people have been retained, and they figure out you now have people who are sharing and telling everybody, and your market, your growth engine is working, so your growth is now very predictable and you're now scaling. And basically that's what I wish for everybody. But let's talk about things that might be obstacles to it. So I'll pause here and then we can go to question and answer. Thank you very much. So I'm done with my presentation. It'd be good if you have any questions, please let me know. The EdTech founders in the house.
Thank you very much, Boye. If you have questions, if you would want to unmute, just raise your hand so we can unmute the mic for you to ask your question.
Yes, correct. Thank you again, Boye. That was a wonderful session. I love how you took us through the session speaking about how to capture a specific market in Nigeria and how to ensure that you sustain it and ensure that you're still making money from that market or that niche part. Thank you very much. I believe all learned a lot from this wonderful session. Like Olajide said, if you want to, you have any questions, and like Boye said in the beginning of this session, he wants this to be much more interactive. So please, we will employ you, write down your questions, no matter how many they are, when she will do well to fit it in within these few minutes we have together. I can see Rochelle hand is up. So please, if you have a question, just raise up your hand and I'll call you as you appear on my screen. The first person here is Rochelle. Hi, Rochelle. Unmute and yes, and ask your question.
Oh, hi everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I can hear you. Hi.
Thanks so much, Boye, for your presentation. I really learned a lot. I took a lot of notes. It was very insightful. So I think my question is, in the African market, I think the users are very practical. Like if you're not building something that fit into their lives, they won't use it. So I think my question is, what strategies helped you build trust with your early users before they became paying customers? Like, how did you approach the building trust aspect of scaling and distributing your product?
Thank you. Like the part where you have to build trust. Yeah, just confirming what you said. Like, how do you approach building trust with the customers and being part of their lives early on so that you can convert them? Is that a good way to say your question?
Exactly. How to build trust with your early customers and then make them paying customers and bring them back and make them return customers. Yeah.
Okay, great. So let me tell you how, because I feel like this is a good place to bring in stories. You're right. I think trust is everything. And when like Braille has evolved from when it launched in 2021 as an LMS to become a mobile app with content and now to be a global online tutoring company. And in the LMS stage, I remember that Braille we needed to get credibility from the market. And so the first credibility that I got was that I had worked in EdTech. And some people knew me that I had done something in EdTech before. So I think that's the first credibility, is that, hey, I'm a professional. I have done something before. I know this thing. I helped this person. That's something you always need to have up front. And then I think immediately we got into Facebook Accelerator. And that helped us. Still, we're backed by Facebook, And then immediately after, we got selected for a competition. So we won an award as the best e-learning, whatever, from federal government. I think all of those things started helping. And then, so you leverage one to get to the other, and then to the other, and then to the other. That's actually how you do it. Because by the time CNN reached out to us, we had won an award, we had been on Facebook, and we had announced something. We used influencers for that on Twitter when everybody shut down in 2020, because we just had a beta product. And we said, we would help you, we'll help 1,000 children learn and not just stay at home. So like, don't stop learning, because everybody's schools were shut down. And CNN caught that up, and then we were on CNN. And then when we came from that whole CNN thing, we now wrote to the Commissioner of Education in Lagos State, and said we wanted to launch an event, we wanted to do a launch event, and wanted her to speak. And I leveraged all the networks I had. Like I didn't know her too well, but I knew her a little bit. I leveraged all the people I had, and then I sat down with her and told her, "We're inviting you, ma," and she said she will come. And then she did not come for some reason, because the governor called her. But she did the next best thing, which was recorded a video for us. And in the video, she said, "This is a great innovation. I wanted to help. I want people to know that this is going to help Nigerians." Da, 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 da. And so we took that video and not only played it on the day of launch, but we also had STV Silverbird and AIT in the house. So they took it and then they broadcasted it nationally, right? And then some of the stories we had of people who had used Gradely, we brought those stories and put them in front of the stage. And so you see how everything is really about building credibility and connecting that so that people trust you. So I feel like that's one thing you need to do, build credibility personally and then with the things that you do. Now, in terms of fitting into the lives of your customers, you need to give to them the way they want it. I think that's something that we know in Africa. It's like people, there are many ways to take milk the way that Kenyans are buying it. You know, there's many ways to sell alcohol, but there's a way that they're selling it in Africa, right? So you need to figure out how people use these things. You know, do they use their phone to learn? Because some of the errors in EdTech have always fallen around like assuming customer behaviors that are not there. So you assume that they use their phone, but they don't even have phones. You want to make sure that you know how your customer lives, like what's their life. And one way to help with that is to segment your customer. The fact that there are two children and they are both wearing uniform and they both wear shoes does not mean they're both your customers. You have to figure out what are the demographic factors, what are the psychographic, child A versus child B. How is the Nigerian child living downtown different from a Nigerian child living uptown? And even within uptown, there are some types of children and other types of children. So like diplomat children behave very differently from a typical upper class child because their parents are expats and it's just somehow they behave. So like, I think that you need to figure out what your segment is and then figure out their behavior and then fit into their behavior perfectly and partner with whoever is going to allow you to get in there, whether that's the phone manufacturer or telco or government, whichever way that they interact. We want you to learn that and then fit it into their lives.
All right, thank you, Boye, for that succinct response. So yeah, it's a building blocks of acceleration, competitions, paid media, and of course, your connection as well. And that all together, we can help you build trust. And of course, also personal experience as well. Thank you, Boye. And we have a question on the group. Damilare, I can see your hand up. I'll come back to you. But we have a question from the mother. She said, if we are training people on skills that are vocational related, how is it possible to make your learners repeat customers?
Yeah, how do you make repeat customers of vocational skills?
Mm-hmm.
The question is again, it's
also
about, yeah.
Include this as an addendum to the question. Also, how do you for the skills development, do you have to start with the freemium approach when trying to monetize your the skill development aspect? Do you start with the freemium approach or how do you so just combine two of them in one?
Yeah.
How do you make them repeat customers and how do you approach pricing? Premium approach, otherwise, yeah.
Yeah, so I think, you know, for skills development, there are only customers until they learn the skill, right? And it's already a carpenter. You know, at least for that skill development phase, 0 to 1, you cannot repeat that again. What you can do, and this is what people do a lot, is like project management, PMP. They can certify you as a project manager, but you now have to continue to get recertified, right? And then you need to pay like membership fees for extra advantages. So you want to figure, are you sure you have the best tools? Let me continue to update you on the best tools as a carpenter, and you continue to pay me for providing you that update. Let me help you get clients. And so you have to add that value add to your offering, and then they will be repeat customers, not of the same product, but of a variant of that product. You understand what I'm saying? So that's how to do it. Second question about freemium is, if you want to do freemium, think about, people call it the lead magnet, right? Or a teaser. Always have some part of your product that you can sample, that the customers can sample. So that's how to do freemium. Is that what part of your product can they, so if you say, okay, I want to teach you how to be a software engineer, and then one day, we call it the day of code. In day of code, we'll teach you for free how to code, how to build something. And in that day of code, anybody can join. And then everybody that joins will learn begin and ending of building a website, which is just a tiny portion of building software. All right. So in that day, you just free everybody. And then you now tell them, see how much you learned in 4 hours. For the next 64 hours, you'll not only be able to build a website, you'll be able to build a complete front end and back end software application. Okay. So you give it a small portion of the skill that you can sample, that you can sample.
All right, thank you. Another perfect response from me there. Thank you, Boye. All right, Damilare, you can go now.
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Damilare, and first, the session has been really insightful. I've also taken a couple of notes, but I have like a 3-in-1 question. So first, we were building a gamified learning management software for universities because we wanted to improve engagement rates. But along that, we realized that we got compared a lot with existing solutions, and because we were building in different phases, so we just basically had to pivot to something else. And my first question is around, if you have identified a problem, how do you match it with a solution, or what's the process of now testing it with a solution? So what we were able to now recraft what we're trying to build is to target the problem of with university education, a lot of people that are told that when they graduate, they can use it to do something. So we figured, okay, with this same product, we can launch what we call nano certificates. So for instance, like if you are studying computer science, you can take a 2 weeks Python course that just basically like helps you. And we're looking at how we can partner with schools. But okay, now we have this solid problem. Our issue, because we're now at that stage of now trying to test what we think the solution to this problem would be. So that's first question. Second question is in partnerships, especially with university, because our first major vision or goal, especially since you pointed it out in your presentation, that what is something different that we want to do. And for us is basically trying to like change the education system, which was when we thought of, okay, if we can increase learning engagement, you get people to learn better, to stay more, and basically improve learning outcomes. So it means that we'll need to partner with universities. So in terms of such partnerships, how do you think we can go about that from your experience? And number 3 is also being like competitive. So for us, we are not directly making those contents. We partner with creators. It's just that because on our platform, it can be bite-sized, it can gamify, so it basically helps people to learn better. We can have them learn, build projects, get mentorship, and also like opportunities. So in summary, the problem and solution, number 2, the partnerships, and also staying ahead of competitors. Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's a lot. And of course, I know your business, Damilare, and I think that I'm happy that you're talking about pivoting. I think that the area of pivoting to is very powerful. Credentialing is the future of tertiary education. Not everybody wants to go to 5 years university anymore, and to catch up with us as well. People want to be able to get straight to the market and start to work and learn experience, because experience is more valuable to get work than sit down and studying. And so figuring out bite-sized nano credentials is helpful. The only thing is, and that is your first question, is like, who really needs it? It says it's students that need it. What I've noticed is that people assume too much. So you say people want it, people want skills, they want Python. Who wants to learn Python? How many people have you spoken to that said they will pay for Python? How much are they willing to pay? By the time you finish that conversation, you might end up with maybe like 100 students in computer science in OAE, another 100 students in lab. And by the time you figure it out, you realize that you don't have a large market. Maybe the entire universe of Python people that you want to train is 10,000 people. And then you have to insist that you want to get 10%. Remember, I told you that if you tell yourself I have to get 10% of my market before I'm okay, you are dead already. Because if 1% is not going to make you okay, 0.1% is not going to make you okay, you may not be okay for a while. You understand? So figure out whether you are dealing in a large market or not. And quickly to figure that out is to find people who are willing to pay for it. My first technique I ever used for something like this was a survey. I remember in pre-degree, I went and gave a survey to every single person and say, will you pay for novels? How much do you pay if you're to rent novels? And I spoke to 150 people in a small market of 1,500 people. So I spoke to 10% of the whole market in my survey. That was my sample size. So when you talk about people want to learn, have nano credentials, you have to ask yourself, how many people have you spoken with? Which nano credentials? For what? So that question, that problem needs to be deeply understood before you can solve it. Because people quickly move to solutions maybe because they're giving you money, or because you said you have left the 9 to 5 you're working. So now you need to quickly build something. So you don't solve the problem, you don't figure out the problem enough. Yes, Dami, you want to say something?
Yes, so I just wanted to give context. So we also thought about that, and we are thinking of starting with a social media management course. And the idea is that it's a low-hanging fruit. A lot of undergraduates want these roles, they're applying for these roles, but most times there's no the pathway from learning to having the skills to having projects to portfolio and also the opportunities. And we're looking at how we can have a couple of nano programs that contribute to a micro course, if you understand. So as a front-end developer, the first thing you learn is HTML, then CSS, then JavaScript. So we're looking at it's not just it doesn't just end in one skill, basically. So I don't know if that would basically help you understand with context.
It does help me. I think that there are many things in that idea that you have to figure out. One is that you have to figure out, is this your true core competence? Are you really, 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 really good in social media? Are you better in teaching social media than this massive influencer that has used social media to generate 1 million followers? Are you better than that person? Or are you going to leverage that person? Are you going to partner with that person? Because social media can be taught, like ChatGPT can teach you social media. It's about the rules. The rules are available on the internet. The issue is the essence, not the rules, right? So if it's taught in an academic way, that's still not a unique, thing. Also, you have to understand that it's true that most people will want to learn how to be a good social media person and make money from it. So that's why they're learning it. But you need to understand, again, you have to understand the market size. Is there a sufficient number of people? How much are they willing to pay for it? Because that's not get to your business model. It's possible that people want to learn social media, but they can only pay 50K for it. Is 50K enough? Multiplied by how many people? Again, do you need 10% of the market to survive? If you need 10% of the market to survive, remember, you are dead. Right? So that 50K, if only 10 people pay it, is that anything? If 100 people pay it, is that anything? And that's where the challenge has always been. That's where because people will say, I can pay 50K. And then now you need 1,000 people. Now you need 10,000 people to even have anything. And so you need to be able to avoid that trap of not right to find the right balance between your pricing and the volume of people that you need or the share of market that you need. So that's it on that question. I think that you solve the problem better by understanding the problem more. So that's how to solve it. It's basically how I've seen solving problem is that you ask people about their problem to the point where you now say, if I give you this thing, will you pay for it? And the person says, give me now, I'll pay for it now. And you say, wait, let me go and confirm that there are 50 of you. That's actually one of the best ways to solve the problem. Let me quickly confirm that there are 50 of you quickly. And I'll now go and talk to them. And I'll come back to you and say, there are not 50 of you. I'm sorry, I won't solve that problem for you because there are not enough people like you that need to solve that problem. But if you find out there's so many people like you that want to solve that same problem, then they don't see a reason why not. Like they're giving you their money already. They're like, damn, you take my 50K, take my 100K, and let me know when you want to start. Then maybe something there, right? So that's kind of something to understand about, deep understanding of the problem. All these problems that people come up with in their head and say people who want to learn social media on their top of their head is not useful. Those are not useful problems. They are not great problems because you don't know anything about that problem. You want to understand the problem. Like that's the problem I think many people in EdTech face. You don't know this problem well enough, but you just want to solve it. Say at the school, everybody needs school management system. Who told you? Everybody has school management system. So what are you saying? Right? So you have to really, really understand what the problem is. That guy that wants to learn social media, someone that is studying computer science in a lab, they do want to learn social media. And why? What exactly will he use this for? Is it everybody that's going to learn social media now? Or is it a group of people that figure out that that's their kind of thing? Maybe writers, maybe journalists, students, maybe media students, maybe like there's a certain kind of person that is a great match for, and a certain kind of person that is not, right? So anyway, that's something to look out for. When it comes to competition, that's where the problem is. Because immediately they can say, I have seen this before, there's nothing new here. Like people can learn social media on YouTube for free. All you have to do is pay for data. So immediately they are competing, you are competing with something that is free. You have to be careful that your value is clear, right? I've seen people that because of this problem, they never sell the course itself, they sell themselves. So what's the name of this lady? There's some people that they are even selling mentorship now. We hear that people are selling mentorship. Say, I just need 10 people. I'll give you my full package, the secret to my success. And you just pay $5,000. Now, those people actually are making significant money for a lifestyle business. Versus you that you don't have that advantage. You cannot talk like that. You can't sell yourself. You are selling a platform. Technology is not a differentiator. So that's what you have to understand what your real differentiator is. Like I think you're talking about partnering with the creator. The creator is the real person. You're not even the person. Your business model is to leverage the creator. You get what I mean? So figure that out because that's what will make it different. Beating the competition means you have something that's so unique that the competition cannot even begin to say they have. You get. If Kim Kardashian says, I'm going to teach you social media, it's going to sell $10 million worth. ASAP. Because you know Kim Kardashian. Like you know that she killed it with social media. So you're not just saying, I want to offer as who you know the programming, but let's even say you want to go and read it up. Now you're teaching me. How is that really great? Are you guaranteeing me anything? You want to show me that you are actually doing this thing really well. Are you guaranteeing me anything? You get what I mean? Tell me what you're guaranteeing me. Tell me how you changed my life. Don't just tell me how you teach me something. Because teaching me something is not enough.
Correct. Thank you, Boye, for that response. That was very elaborate. And Larry, I hope Boye has answered your question very well. And you can see one clap. That is admission of that fact. Thank you, Boye, so much for this session. We appreciate the time. We've learned a lot as EdTech founders and even founders of other ventures here on this call. I believe we've all learned from you based on how to capture value and how to ensure that we monetize our target audience or our user. Thank you so much, and thank you for answering all the questions patiently. We appreciate the time. Before we round up, we are glad that you've agreed to have a one-on-one session with one person from this session just to talk with the them, understand what their pain points are, and how we can help them. So we'll be doing a raffle draw of the top first five people that join and the three people that ask questions during this session. And that raffle draw will now determine who the winner of that one-on-one session with Boye is. So I'll call on my colleague Nolajide to share his screen for that session. Hi, Olajide.
Can you see my screen now?
I think it's still loading. Yes, I can see your screen now.
Okay, I am going to spin now.
All right. Boye has dropped his LinkedIn account on the comments box. So if you want to connect with Boye personally on your own, follow him, see what he's doing, and connect with him. Just follow there and join him. And yes, we have a winner of the one-on-one session with Boye, and that is Happiness Okoro. Hi, Happiness. Congratulations. So happy for you that you've won a one-on-one session with Boye. We can unmute your mic and say one or two. Hi, Happiness, can you hear me?
Hello. Thank you. Oh my God. Thank you so much. Hi, please can you hear me? Am I audible enough?
Yes, you are.
I cannot hear anything. Oh, okay. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations once again, Happiness. Thank you everyone for joining. Thank you for joining the session. Once again, okay, congratulations. So once again, Leadna LMS is the learning management software for a white label software for academia and businesses. But Venture, you have your Marvelous. Are you back?
Yes, I'm back. Can you hear me?
Okay, yes, I can.
Yes, apologies about that. I think it got disrupted my network, and that was what happened. That's why I jumped off. All right, yeah, congratulations again, Happiness. Um, so we'll keep reaching out to you on the next steps on how to on your session with Boye. Congratulations again, and we are so happy for you. Thank you, everyone. And that brings us to the end of the session. Of course, again, Boye's link is in the chat box. You can connect with him, follow him, and see what he's doing, and ensure that you can also gain value from him as well. All right, thank everyone for joining. We are glad that you were able to join us in this session. And before we wrap up, just want to recap about Litna again and what to do at Litna. Like I mentioned in the beginning of the session, Litna is a white label LMS solution that allows individuals, creators, train institutions, enterprises, organizations to train their staff, train their employees, train their users in whatever way they can. Our LMS has different features such as course management, user management, certificate development and assigning, and of course, LMS customization. And can reach out to us for any reason, if you want to, for any reason you need LeadNet for, and we're sure to meet your needs. Of course, our LeadNet EdTech community, I've dropped the link on the chat. Join our community of EdTech founders and get together and explore, converse with each other and add value to each other. Thank you again for joining this session. I will get on another session of our LeadNet EdTech sector webinar. Thank you again, Boye, for this amazing session. We truly appreciate, and we hope that whenever we come and meet you again, you will grant us a listening ear and join us and add value to our community. On behalf of LeadNet, our community members, everyone that has joined in, we want to say thank you so much, Boye. Thank you for a word of knowledge, and thank you also everyone for joining. And we wish you all the best. I wish you a happy weekend, enjoy your weekend, and we will see you next time on another edition of our LeadNet EdTech Circle. Thank you, everyone, and have a wonderful evening. Bye.